to the right. Dionysus has got a good start. Can he take the outside? No, in fact, he's lost a position as well to Carol Bash. Nicholas Nielsen down the inside into the Bet Italy number 2 turn. Nielsen leads from Bash. Brilliant start by Felipe Drugovic. The boy from Brazil is up into 3rd spot, just ahead of Dionysus. Dionysus has got past, and Drugovic, just as we said how good a start he made. He's lost 3, 4, 5 places. He's gone from 3rd back to 10th, possibly even 11th, in the space of 3 corners. Nielsen from Bash. This is going to be a sensational fight over the remaining 19 and a half laps. Nielsen, who's dominated this weekend, but he's got the reigning world champion behind him. That is Carol Bash. Bash looks behind him. It's a long, long way back to Lorenzo Travisanuto. The Italian driving for the German KSM Schumacher team is in position number 3. Ahead of Dionysus, a great start by Marcus Armstrong. Dionysus has gone up the inside. Dionysus on Travisanuto. Dionysus is into 3rd spot. He's taken Marcus Armstrong with him. We go back to the front, and it is Nielsen with a very slight lead over Carol Bash. It's a long way back to the rest of the field, almost about 100 metres. They're dicing amongst themselves, allowing the front 2 to get away. Unfortunately, we've already lost the OK1 kart of Lorenzo Lux. The Swiss driver is parked on the infield and will take no further part in this race. There is Nielsen across the line. The gap is just 0.2 of a second to Carol Bash. I can tell you the warning flag has also gone out to Nicholas Nielsen. The sportsmanship warning flag. No penalty. Just a warning to say the stewards are watching him. 3rd place is Dionysus. Travisanuto Armstrong back in 5th spot. The kid from New Zealand. Richard Verschoor, Maxime Martinuk. Logan Sargent, the reigning junior world champion, stepping up to the senior class. He is there in 8th spot as you watch Richard Verschoor make a move. Verschoor has gone through on Armstrong. There he is, the Dutchman against the New Zealander. The Dutchman in the purple RB Racing Express kart. There he is. We go back to the leaders. Nielsen, the gap last time was 0.2 of a second. It's blown out to 0.3 of a second. Let's look at the replay. Richard Verschoor up the inside, and he takes the Kiwi. Marcus Armstrong, he's demoted a spot further back to position number 6. Richard Verschoor on the charge. And fastest lap of the race, as you can see, goes to Marco Dionysus, who currently occupies the virtual 3rd step of the podium. Watch Richard Verschoor. Next in line is the Italian, Lorenzo Travisanuto. As we mentioned through the pre-final, this is the 3rd different team he's driven with this year. But he's found a home, he's found speed in that KSM Schumacher Racing Tony Kart, but not enough to hold off the Dutchman Richard Verschoor, who slots that Express up the inside. Verschoor moves up another position. Well, he didn't make the best start. He was out of grid number 4, but got shuffled back on the exit of this very corner 4 laps ago. No surprise to see he has set the fastest lap of the race. He's now in position number 4. Next in line is the Romanian Marco Dionysus. The gap from your leaders, Nicholas Nielsen and Carol Bash, back to Dionysus. It's about 2.5 seconds. It's 0.4 of a second from Nielsen to Bash. In real terms, it's about 8 kart lengths. There's Bash. Dionysus from Romania for Ward Racing out of Sweden. Nielsen down the start-finish straight. Bash makes an adjustment on that Vortex engine on the carburetor. Well, Nicholas Nielsen did finish on the podium at the World Championships, but it wasn't on the top step. The race was won, of course, famously on that day at La Conca Muro Lecce by the driver in P2, number 201 from Poland, Carol Bash, 24 years of age. He's still got the smile on his face from winning the race on that day. Nicholas Nielsen, he's not the world champion this year at least, but he's determined to finish the year on a high and take out the WSK Final Cup. He completed quarter race distance of this, the KF category final, in the lead. He drifted onto the start-finish straight. the gap out to 0.7 of a second. Then we go back to Marco Dionysis in third spot. Karel Bash from Poland, as we mentioned, factory driver with the Cosmic Racing Department. 2:01. Did qualify fastest. Very cool and overcast conditions, almost damp conditions on Friday evening. But from there, Nielsen, from just outside Copenhagen in Denmark, has dominated with 3 heat wins. The only driver who has led this weekend, apart from Nielsen, is the man on screen now, Marco Dionysis from Romania. But in just a few corners' time, he's going to have a big problem in the form of Richard Verschoor. A few corners' time right now, because Verschoor has gone through up into position number 3. Nicely done by Richard Verschoor. Can he catch the leaders? He has again set the fastest lap of the race. As we look at the replay, nicely done. Remember, for this race at least, they still have front wheel disc brakes. In 2016, we go back to rear onboard disc brakes only. Richard Verschoor making very good use of that right-hand hand-operated front brake system on that RB Racing Express car. Had everything locked up going into the hairpin. The young Dutchman, he's now up into position number 3. Well, can he catch the leaders? Can he put the challenge to Nielsen if Karel Bash can't? He's already starting to pull away from Dionysis. We go back to Lorenzo Travisanuto, who's doing a fine job in 5th. Logan Sargent from Florida in the United States. He's in 6th, having got past the flying Kiwi Marcus Armstrong. But just as I say that, I think Armstrong has... Yes, in fact, that is correct. Armstrong is sitting there ahead of Ben Fiscal. The young Dutchman also racing with KSM Schumacher TKART out of Köpen in Germany. As Giacomo Rossi makes a move on the Russian Maxim Martinyuk. They're both trailing Jacopo Genno for the final spot inside the top 10. And I think they've both taken him. Martinyuk, Genno, Drugovic is just ahead of them. Just goes to show the depth of field with 12 laps remaining. Yes, Ben Fiscal having his first run in seniors this weekend. On Thursday, it was his first time using a front wheel braking system. He's the reigning DKM German champion in the KF Junior category. And he's doing a fine job running in position number 9 behind Felipe Drugovic and Marcus Armstrong. Armstrong, I hate to say it, but he's still got the smile on his face from the All Blacks winning the Rugby World Cup about 15 hours ago. But we won't talk too much about that, given the team they beat was Australia. Marcus Armstrong, though, position number 7. Behind Logan Sargent, as ever, driving for Ricky Flynn Motorsport. In the Alonso chassis, look at the gap from Nielsen now back to Karel Bash. Was 1.3 seconds last time round. It's now out to nearly 1.5. Richard Verschoor, though, is starting to charge. He's just set the fastest lap of the race, 48.151. He's at 1.2 seconds behind the pole, the reigning world champ. In real terms, about 20 or 15 kart lengths. Fastest lap, there it was, 1.51 for Verschoor. Faultless performance this weekend so far for Nicholas Nielsen. He has just completed a half race distance aboard the factory TKART, number 203, 3rd in the world this year. Of course, he made his debut in the KZ Gearbox category as well at Le Mans, the KZ World Championships, where he qualified a remarkable 3rd. A lot of speculation as to who will feel the vacant seat at TKART, left by the departure of Flavio Camponeschi. That sent shockwaves through the paddock just a week or two back. And Nicholas Nielsen, the favourite to drive the green machine in the gearbox category in 2016, although I believe no decision as yet. Karel Bash, we'll see him back next year in the OK category, attempting to defend his world title. He's going to have to defend second place in a moment because Richard Verschoor, the Dutchman, is getting a little bit closer. Goes down through the Magny-Cours chicane. Christened as such because it's reminiscent of the final few corners at the now ex-Formula One French circuit. Dionysis in 4th spot from Travisanuto. The Italian in the German team is in 5th. Then we go to Sargent, having a reasonable run in position number 6. Head of Drugovic, who's now got back past Marcus Armstrong. Viscal is in 9th. Jacopo Genno rounding out the 10. Good drive also from Julia Leopold, another German. She's sitting just outside the top 10, but ahead of the Russian Maxim Martinyuk for the Seebeke Racing Parts CRG team, also out of Germany. Behind them, Giacomo Rossi, Vittorio Mangili, Nicholas Cry, the final runner, because of course we lost Lorenzo Lux on the opening lap of the race. The gap is 1.7 seconds from Nielsen back to Bash, but Richard Verschoor has just set another fastest lap, 48.051. There he is right on the tail of the reigning world champion. He's currently on the 3rd step of the podium, but any moment now I'd suggest he's going to be on the 2nd step. 6.5 laps remaining, and he's catching him. He's catching him at a ferocious pace. The move's going to come in a few corners' time, be assured of it. Up the hairpins where he's done it the last few laps. He's not quite close enough this time. Bash still in 2nd in the Cosmic Kart. Verschoor in the X-Spree for RB Racing. Of course, Verschoor did finish 6th at the World Championships at La Conca Muro Lecese. Flat out down through Bet Italy turn number 1. Had a bit of a look through turn number 2, the never-ending right-hand sweeper. Over the ripple strip, still a very clean driving line from Bash. This is where it starts to get a little bit more difficult for Verschoor. The kart he has to get past in just a few moments' time is that of the reigning world champion, Karel Bash. 24 years of age from outside Warsaw in Poland. Up the inside goes Richard Verschoor. Bash tries to defend, takes the high line, looks behind him. He can't do anything about it. The Flying Dutchman is now up into position number 2. Richard Verschoor. What a recovery after a dreadful start. He's now in 2nd spot. Nicely done. Bash tried to fight back. He knew he was coming. He could hear the TM-powered X-Spree, even if he couldn't see it, till the very last moment. Verschoor, well, he's got 5 laps to do it. Can he shave 1.9 seconds off your race leader, Nicholas Nielsen, and win the WSK Final Cup for 2015? Well, it's not impossible, but it's going to be a damn difficult task for the Dutchman. You just saw a glimpse of Nielsen going through. There he is. Well, the gap, let's have a look. Last time around, it was 1.9 seconds. Remember, Verschoor did have to make the move on Bash. Did that cost him time on the ripple strip? The gap, it is out to, no, it is down to 1.8 seconds. So a 1/10 of a second last time around, even though he was making that move on Karel Bash. Flat out down the start-finish straight at 129 kilometres an hour for these KF karts. Verschoor has already dropped off Karel Bash. Dionysis sits there in 4th spot. Logan Sargent has now got past Lorenzo Travisanuto. The American is now up into position number 5. Doing a nice job. Travisanuto holding off Felipe Drugovic. Then we go back to Ben Viscal, just ahead of Armstrong. And Jacopo Genno rounding out the top 10. Nielsen, 3 laps to go to take victory here. Remember, he's the reigning 2015 WSK Supermasters Series. He won that title at La Conca Muro Lecese back in April of this year. He didn't have such a good run in the European Championships. This boy did, though. Richard Verschoor. He had a great run. Nothing was really expected of him. And he finished 6th in the world title. He's currently running in 2nd with 2.5 laps remaining. He's got 1.8 seconds to catch the race leader, Nicholas Nielsen. Nicholas Nielsen has been in command of a lot of races in the past and had some sort of problem on the remaining few laps. I can't see it happening now with 2 laps remaining. The gap is down to 1.6 seconds. Richard Verschoor's driving a superb race. You can see there, Logan Sargent is now up into position 5, right behind Marco Dionysis. So the podium is currently Nielsen in a Tony kart from Denmark, Verschoor in an Express kart from Holland, Carol Bash in a Cosmic kart from Poland. So a lap and a half to go for Nicholas Nielsen. Verschoor's getting very much closer to him, but he's surely going to run out of laps. You caught a glimpse of Bash currently occupying the third step of the podium. The gap is down to 1.5 seconds. There's Dionysis. A good weekend for the Romanian. He's going to come home in position number 4, but no one is going to catch Nicholas Nielsen. The gap is too much for Richard Verschoor. What might have been had he not had such a bad start. But let's take nothing away from Nicholas Nielsen. Didn't have the best luck throughout 2015, but he's going to finish the year on a high. He's got a few corners to go as he comes through the Vegas sweeper, turns the Tony kart left, over the ripple strip. Very, very smooth driver is Nicholas Nielsen. Just a few corners to go. Well, he may have missed out on the World Championship, but he will finish 2015 on a high. The checkered flag goes to Nicholas Nielsen. He wins the WSK Final Cup for 2015. Second place, a brilliant drive by Richard Verschoor. He comes home.